Today I'm going to talk to you about consumerism. So let's start at the beginning. What is consumerism? Consumerism is an economic and social system that encourages consumption or overconsumption of goods produced by large companies. It's a theory that the increase of consumption is directly interconnected with a person's happiness. Large corporations generally contribute to this issue by constantly pumping out new products, giving the illusion that the consumer must have the newest, hottest item. Often these companies use pretty shady marketing techniques to send their message and rely on data mining from their customers. Profit is always the bottom line for the company, and they often have very little consideration of the impacts of the goods that they produce. Why is this issue important for us to think about? Annually, 19 to 23 million tons of plastic waste leach into our aquatic ecosystems, polluting the rivers, lakes, and streams that we drink from. Every year, 400 million tons of plastic are produced. Many companies lie about their environmental impacts through greenwashing. Greenwashing is a technique where companies falsify information about waste disposal, carbon targets, and production methods. A big example of this is the Amazon company, who often lies about the true impact of their production. Consumerism fosters a hostile global community as well that focuses on profits over morals and human well-being. The current trajectory of our consumerism-based economy will lead to the death of our earth and people as we know it. There are many impacts, social, economic, environmental, that we're going to get into next. The environmental impacts of consumerism are felt around the world. First and foremost, resource depletion. The constant production of new items puts a high demand on raw materials that take a long time to regenerate, such as water, wood, minerals, and fossil fuels. This causes over-extraction and also habitat loss for many species. For example, the palm oil industry destroys thousands of acres of rainforest habitat annually, leading to the displacement of species such as orangutans. Waste and pollution are a very big part of the issue because production of goods creates large amounts of waste, especially items that are packaged in plastic. Pollution from factories creates high CO2 emissions as well and allows toxic chemicals and plastics to enter our air and waterways. After leaving the factory, many companies wash their hands of the responsibility of their product, and it often falls on the consumer to find a way to dispose of the waste. On the left is an image of a beach in Ghana. They receive donations every year from companies like H&M, but all these donations cannot be used. There's a finite number of people in Ghana, and they receive about 15 million pieces of clothing every week, so most of it ends up polluting their beaches. Climate change is a big impact as well of consumerism. Pollution from the production, transportation, and disposal of these goods significantly contributes to greenhouse gas emissions, which accelerates global warmings. Oftentimes, companies brush under the rug the true impact on the environment from the production of their goods. The economic impacts of this issue are also severe. Growth-dependent economies have become a focus, so all of our modern economies rely on continuous consumption for GDP growth. This is short-term profit gain, but creates long-term sustainability challenges, and economies that are reliant on consumption create a priority on financial gain over public and environmental health. Consumerism also creates economic inequality by encouraging consumers to buy more, and it creates a larger divide between the rich and poor classes. Low-income workers often get exploited to keep prices down for consumers, and this creates disparities in the standard of living. Additionally, planned obsolescence is a very big issue. Many products are now designed to fail within a certain time, encouraging customers to purchase them again rather than making a one-time purchase. This increases their profits, but greatly also increases the amount of waste and further depletes resources. The social impacts of consumerism are also quite heavy. Cultural values are affected by consumerism by promoting materialism as a measure of our happiness or success, which negatively impacts our mental health, self-worth, and social interactions. For example, have you ever gone out on Black Friday and seen the absolute chaos between people having physical and verbal fights over just stuff, over sales? And it can lead to arrests, injuries, or sometimes even death. The biggest social impact is labor conditions. Cheap products are often made quickly and produced in factories with deplorable working conditions. Workers are often at risk of health issues or death. Additionally, they are paid very little for their work, sometimes less than $1 a day. The cost of labor in China is very cheap, which is why many companies choose to produce their goods there. And by supporting these products, you're supporting the mistreatment of countless employees, including children. In the Republic of Congo, adults and children are forced to work in dangerous conditions, mining for cobalt to be used for the next iPhone. There's some community impacts as well, as consumerism affects small communities and economies, because global consumer brands can outcompete them for business. Many small businesses are forced to close because the larger brands can beat them with lower prices. Looking into the future, what can be done? So the effects of consumerism will be felt for generations to come if change is not made to produce more sustainably. As our global population increases, the need for goods also increases, and this puts additional strain on global resource availability. To make some change, governments could put restrictions in place or enforce laws that prohibit companies from cutting corners during production, transportation, and disposal, ultimately holding them responsible for the waste that their products are producing. Restrictions on the quantity of items produced to reduce landfill accumulation and restrictions on single-use plastics would also be greatly beneficial. Holding companies responsible for the environmental damage that they have caused is the ultimate way to make a bigger change in this issue. So what can you as an individual do? Making responsible choices with your money is the best way to make a difference. Your dollar has a voice and your dollar has an impact. You can prioritize purchasing from companies that practice sustainable production and are transparent about their production methods. You should buy local whenever you can to reduce transport emissions and support small businesses. Buying secondhand items rather than purchasing new. Learning to repair your items instead of replacing them. Be more mindful of what you're throwing out. Think of where it will end up. Will it be recycled? Will it end up in a landfill somewhere? You can also say no to fast fashion brands and purchase sustainable natural fibers like cotton and wool, as opposed to plastic-based fibers like polyester, which are better for your skin in the long term to buy the cotton or wool. These last longer and are easier to care for as well. We need to stand up for what we believe in. If you believe that consumerism is causing the death of our society and planet as we know it, then we need to make the change, because as the consumers, we have the power to make a difference.